What's up, guys? Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. I really appreciate it. Today we're gonna kind of continue on the track of, struggling with not dieting and those types of things. Today I want to talk about body image, how we can start having a better, positive body image and start loving ourselves here and the now, no matter what we look like. This is super sad, but I kind of feel like in today's society and with social media and everything, it's kind of uncommon to have a positive body image and have body positivity and stuff like that. We're constantly picking ourselves apart and comparing ourselves to other people and kind of wishing that we could look a different way and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna kind of go over that today. I've been wanting to dive into these topics with you guys and kind of talking about it and just kind of getting my opinions out there and everything like that because, these are things that I struggle with. I'm struggling with not dieting and I'm struggling with my body image and trying to repair my relationship with food and relationship with myself and my body and all those kinds of things. So that's kind of why I'm getting into these issues, diving into these things, and it's because I'm working on them myself and I feel like a lot of people are struggling with the same things. So hopefully I can help you in any type of way or just kind of get my opinion out there and give you something to think about. So I've had a pretty terrible relationship with my body since before I can remember. I can remember back even when I was 6, 7, 8, being very self-conscious with my body, and I was just a normal kid, but ever since I can remember, I've really struggled with my body image. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you know that I had anorexia when I was 15, 16, around then, and then I really got into fitness, and that kind of covered up the issues with my disordered eating and body image and all that kind of stuff. But these things keep resurfacing because I never dealt with them and never really fixed them. I just try to kind of cover it up and pretend it wasn't there. But I realized it's something I really need to start working on and repairing my relationship with myself and my body and with food and everything like that, or I'm never going to be able to live this healthy, happy lifestyle that I really want to have. Something that I've really realized is that if I don't repair my relationship with my body, if I don't start loving myself, if I don't start loving my body how it is right here, right now, I will never be happy no matter what I look like. The realization that I've come down to is that you really have to start accepting yourself and your inner self and really loving you. Because if you don't love yourself, you're never gonna be happy with what your body looks like. I want to go over some of the characteristics that are pretty common in anybody who has eating disorder issues or body image issues, stuff like that. These are some things that I've really found that are present in my personality. These are characteristics that I have that kind of go hand in hand with some of these issues. So the first one is perfectionism. Whenever you have the perfectionist personality type, you feel like every area of your life has to be perfect. And these are the standards that you put in your head, that society puts in your head of, I have to get straight A's, I have to have the perfect GPA, or I have to perform in work, I have to be the top person at my work. And then another area of life that you can control is how you look. And so, you have to have the perfect hair and the perfect face and the perfect body. And because it has to be perfect, we oftentimes have these ideals that are impossible to maintain or even achieve. And so we constantly feel like a failure, constantly racing to get to this perfect spot that isn't really achievable or maintainable. And that is totally me. I for years now have been constantly striving to achieve this perfect body, but it's not maintainable at all. And that's something that I have realized is that my perfectionist personality, I feel like I have to control every little aspect. And with diet and exercise, I have to be perfect. I have to be perfect with my diet and perfect with my exercise to get this perfect body that isn't maintainable. Another characteristic is comparing, constantly comparing yourself to everybody else. With this personality trait and characteristic, it's really common for people with body image issues or eating disorder issues. We are constantly comparing ourselves to everybody else. And this is super common with social media. And I know for myself, I will go onto other people's accounts and just be oh, I wish I could look like them. And I'm constantly comparing what I look like to their bodies and everything like that. And that can be really detrimental to our mental health. And the third characteristic is being super critical, highly judgmental of yourself and of other people. And I know this is very true for me. I am extremely critical about myself. Everything has to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, I will beat myself up for it. I'm super critical of myself even for just having like issues. Like I beat myself up for having disordered eating and for having body image issues. And then I'm also extremely critical of other people. Most of the time it's because I'm just, putting my insecurities out there onto them. But all three of these personality traits, these characteristics, are super common with having body image issues or disordered eating. So I just kind of wanted to put those out there because once I saw those and I reflected on those, I was like, wow, that is me big time. So the first thing that we need to do to start changing these processes in our heads and to start having a better relationship with our bodies and with how we look is to start changing our thoughts. Because we are completely in control of our thoughts, and that's gonna drive our feelings and our actions and our everyday life. So we need to start changing these negative thoughts about ourselves and this negative self-talk from negative to neutral and then to positive. And the reason why you want to start from negative to neutral is because you really need to actually believe these things that you're telling yourself. And most of the time, if you just go from negative to positive, you're not gonna believe the things, and it's gonna be so much harder to make that transition. So an example of this is the negative thought being, I have a fat, disgusting body, to I have a body. And just working on every time that you think that thought of, ew, I'm so disgusting and my body is so fat and disgusting, just recognize that you're thinking that and just say, I have a body. And try to make that transition of catching yourself doing the negative self-talk and having those thoughts, and trying to just change it to a neutral statement of, this is my body, I have a body. And then you can start transitioning and changing it to, I have a beautiful body and it's created exactly how it needs to be. And at first it's gonna be super hard to do this because you feel silly and you don't believe it, but it's super important that you start catching whenever you're thinking those negative thoughts and whenever you're doing the negative self-talk, just catch yourself and then try to switch it to a more neutral and then to a positive thought. And the more you practice this and the more you catch yourself and the more you practice the habit, the better it's gonna get, the easier it's gonna get, and you're actually going to start believing these things about yourself. We also need to start building up our mental strength, our confidence in ourselves, and our love for ourselves. Just like with changing the negative self-talk and the negative thoughts that go through our head, another thing that you can do that's super helpful is to have some affirmations. And I know that affirmations are kind of silly, but the more that you practice them, the more that you run these things through your head, it's gonna start clicking and you're gonna start to believe these things and think these things naturally. So these are 2 affirmations that I found and that I read to myself every single day and that have been super helpful for me. They just kind of keep me grounded and remind me of the ultimate goal that I want. The first one, I'm gonna go ahead and read it. It is, I will exercise for the joy of feeling my body move and grow stronger. I will not exercise simply to lose weight, purge fat, or to make up for calories I have eaten. And then the second one is, I will treat my body with respect and kindness. I will feed it, keep it active, and listen to its needs. I will remember my body is the vehicle that will carry me to my dreams. So those are 2 affirmations that I read to myself on a daily basis. I have to remind myself of these things, that, that repairing this relationship and paying attention to it and not trying to just stuff it away and trying to love my body is leading me to this life, this goal that I want. Something that's also super helpful is to create an I can list. So you just create a list of everything that your body is capable of and everything that it can do for you and how awesome it is. And that helps to really remind you that hey, you're more than just your body, but your body can do these awesome things for you. And really, your body is a vessel that you do life through, and that you need to take care of it and love it and accept it and just have this awesome relationship with it in order to really live the best life that you possibly can. Another thing is to stop the comparing, and this is super hard and it's way easier said than done, but something that I've had to do is really just stop comparing myself to all these people on social media. And something that I've had to do is unfollow a few accounts that are kind of like triggers for me. If I'm constantly comparing myself to them and like their bodies and they look perfect in my eyes, and I'm constantly wanting to look like them, I have to just unfollow it. I know that looking at their stuff and comparing myself with them is going to make me have those negative thoughts and want to continue with my disordered eating. So I've really had to start unfollowing people and taking those triggers out so that I'm not constantly comparing. Like I said, social media can be amazing, and I've found awesome communities and friends and everything through it, but make sure that you're not following people that are like triggering negative body image stuff. And that's gonna look different for every single person. So just make sure that you're being cautious whenever you're going through your timelines, and if you're constantly comparing yourself to certain people, just unfollow them. Another thing that is super important for me, at least, is practicing mindfulness. And something that I really struggle with because of my disordered eating and my body image issues is that I'm constantly in my head. Like, I can't even pay attention whenever I go to like church or when I'm like in a group of people. Like, my mind wanders to what my body looks like and how disgusting I feel and what I'm gonna eat in a few hours, or you know, what I have already eaten, and I'm running through all these things in my head, and that is a problem. And so something that I'm really trying to work on is being mindful, like in the moment, and not constantly thinking about my body and not constantly thinking about food. Those things really control my mind at this point, but you know, something that I'm trying to work on is being mindful and just kind of taking myself back to like, hey, be present. Like, if I catch myself thinking about those things, like when I'm with other people, I have to just be like, Alaina, like, be mindful. Like, take a deep breath, look around you, look at the things around you, think, see what people are saying and everything like that. So that's something that I'm really trying to work on, and I don't have too many tips on it because I am struggling with it. But I just wanted to mention that because it is super important. The last little thing I wanted to talk about is that most of the time, whenever you have eating disorder issues or body image issues and stuff like that, it really takes over your life. Most of the time you get obsessive about these things, and it kind of just like, you have a lack of life because your life revolves around your body and food and exercise, and that's pretty much it. Something that's super important is to start finding other things in your life that you can start setting goals around and start spending time on. Most of the time I find that this is super hard for me and for other people because for so long our lives have been revolved around food and exercise and the gym and everything like that, and so we don't really have anything else in our lives. You know, we don't even really have friends most of the time. I know that's the case for me because I've always kind of excluded myself from that just because I've been so focused on my body, my physique goals and everything like that, that I literally didn't even have friends. So it's super important to start finding things that you can spend other time on, like your free time, and like distract yourself with it. Start setting goals outside of, you know, your physical body. It could be a health related goal, and that's totally fine because, you know, our health is important and our physical health is important. So it could be to like run a 5K or hit like 200 pounds on squats or something like that. But it's also super important to find things outside of physical activity or like, you know, your physique goals to spend some energy on. You know, we need to put our energy elsewhere so that we can kind of get away of this obsessive behavior. And I know this is super hard because, like I said, I didn't have friends, I didn't have any hobbies, like anything. So I'm starting to set some goals with just my business, and then also I'm trying to learn how to play the piano again. I'm getting more into like cooking and like exploring like different things like that. I'm actually starting to make friends because I'm not as scared to like go out and not track my macros and stuff like that. It's super important that you find ways to kind of put your energy elsewhere and put your mind elsewhere. At first, it really is gonna feel like a distraction because you're not used to spending time elsewhere, but it's important that you kind of dedicate yourself to finding other things to put your energy on. Ways to kind of distract yourself from that obsessive behavior and thoughts and everything like that. I keep talking and talking and talking, but also just remember that if you're working on these things and you're working on repairing your relationship with yourself and loving yourself and trying to accept yourself and work on, you know, disordered eating or anything like that, you have to be patient and you have to be compassionate with yourself. And that's the hardest part, is really being compassionate with yourself and being patient. It's harder than anything else because, trust me, I know you want to give up like every day, and it's so easy to continue to be negative and to continue being in this comfortable state of negativity and obsessiveness and all that kind of stuff. But just remember that it is a lifelong journey. You have to be compassionate with yourself and be gracious with yourself and tell yourself, hey, you're doing the best you can. And you just have to continue to be patient because these things take time. It takes time to change these thoughts in our head and change our neural pathways and change our behaviors and everything like that. So just remember that you have to be patient, you have to be compassionate with yourself, and that it is a journey. I'm sorry that I keep on babbling, but I hope this was helpful for you guys. And you know, these things are things that I am working on myself, and I just want to get it out there to hopefully help anyone else or just kind of give my perspective on these things. So I hope it was helpful and I hope you guys got something from it. But I'm gonna stop babbling now and I will talk to y'all soon.